Hello students, it's me, Miss Duff, your art teacher, and today we are going to be designing digital kites for the annual Illuminate Coral Gables event. So, your completed kite will be printed and displayed in the city of Coral Gables. First thing I want to go over is, what is a kite? A kite is a flat shape with straight sides. It has two pairs of equal length adjacent sides. Now, adjacent means that the sides are across from each other or right next to each other. So there's two adjacent at the top, and then there's two adjacent at the bottom. Now, kites are designed to fly in the air with the wind, and they come in many colors and many designs. Now, the design you will make today will be a face or a portrait. So your kite is going to include things like the eyes, a nose, lips, and even hair. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be using a website called sketch.io/sketchpad, and I'm going to put this link in Microsoft Teams and ClassDojo so that you can access it. I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to use the site, and then you're going to be on your own and working and creating your portrait kite. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Today's art assignment, we will be using the website called sketch.io/sketchpad. So let's go to that. Sketch.io/sketchpad. And this link will be on Microsoft Teams and ClassDojo. So let's click enter. And it's going to bring up a beautiful screen, and then it's going to bring you to a screen that kind of looks like a checkerboard. And this is where we're going to be starting. So on this checkerboard page, I'm going to go over some of the tools that you're going to be using today. So let's go over to here on the left side of your screen. First, you're going to see an arrow that says select. You're going to see a button that says crop and resize. You might see a feather that says calligraphy, a star, a clip art or a happy face, a letter T, and a bucket. And then on the right, you're going to see zoom, a magnifying glass. You're going to see it kind of looks like a cake stacked on top of each other. You're going to see something that looks like a clock going backwards and an arrow going backwards. So these are your top tabs. And then on the bottom, you're going to see a plus sign, a folder, a save disk, and some gears for settings. Now, we're not going to be using all of these tabs, so I'm going to go over the ones you're going to be using today. So, first thing we need to do to make our kite is we're going to start with a blank page. So we're going to go to new, and then it's going to give you a few options. It says blank, grid, graph paper, isometric, lined. We're going to click blank, and then we're going to press create. So now we have a blank page that we can work with. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our kite. Now, the tool we're going to be using to draw our kite will be over here on the left side. So we're going to click on that feather, and then it's going to bring us all these other things. It's very confusing. So we have calligraphy, normal, fill, outline, line width, tip angle. We're not going to worry about all of these things down here. We're going to click calligraphy, click. And then we're going to go down to the option that says line. So we have many options here. We have brush, we have mirror brush, paint brush, pen, pencil, streamer, arrows, crayons. And these are things you can experiment with later, but we're going to go to line. So when you click line, you're going to see a dot that's going to be following around your mouse. Wherever you move your mouse, that dot's going to follow. So we're going to be drawing 2 lines at the top. And then we're going to do 2 lines at the bottom for our kite. So starting from the middle, we're going to do a dot. And then it's going to say move point. So you control where the point moves. So I'm going to do one up here. If you remember the shape of a kite, it is a diamond shape. So we're going to do another one down here. Click. We're going to try to match it up as best as we can. So now we have our 2 adjacent lines at the top. One across from the other. So now we're going to do another line. Now this one is going to be a lot longer, and it's going to go down. Click. And then come back up. Click. And then it's closed. So let's say you drew your kite and you're like, Miss Duff, it doesn't look equal. You can always move your lines to make it equal. So let's say you want to make this more equal with this. And maybe you want to move this over to the right, the left. You decide. And then we're going to click like that. And then once we're done, we're going to click this check mark up here. It says finish editing. Check. So now we have our kite shape. Now we got to start adding designs and colors to it. But before we do that, we want to close this layer or lock it. So when we lock it, that nothing else we put on it will interrupt it. So we're going to lock it by going over to the right and clicking the very top button that looks like a cake. It says layers. We're going to click it. And then we're going to have 2 things right next to it. It says background and line. Now we have an eye, and then we have a lock. If we click the eye, we won't see our kite anymore. If we click the eye again, our kite will come back. If we click the eye on the background, it brings it back to that checkerboard. And if we click it again, it brings our paper back. Now we're going to go and we're going to click the lock. Click and click. So once we have that lock, everything we do on top of this will not mess with it. So now we're going to start adding our designs. So I'm going to be adding, I want to separate my kite into 2 parts. So I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to start at the top of my kite. 1 and then 2. So I want my kite to be closed this way. So if I'm done, I'm going to go here and I'm going to click check. This is all I want to do. I want to separate it into left and right. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to remember, click layers or my cake symbol and lock that line. So I have it separated into 2 parts. So let's say I want to add some other things. Maybe I want to add a shape. So let's go to the star. So when we click the star, it's going to come up with all these options, but all we need to worry about is the star. So we click it and it says choose shape. And then it gives us all these other shapes we can choose. Square, rectangle, triangle, burst, pie, ring. So I'm going to do, let's do radio burst. So let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, so I press it and I hold it and it does a radio burst. So I can do it. If I move in, it's small. If I move out, it's really big. So I'm going to click it. And then if I want it there, I can click check. But if I want to move it, I hold it and I move it around to where I want it. And if I want to make it smaller, I drag it. And if I'm comfortable with it being here, I click check. And then there's some things that call styles. Let's click styles. So when we click on styles, it allows us to change the color of it. So we click fill. We could change it to red. We could change it to purple. We could change it to green. And maybe you don't want that black outline on it. You can click outline and you see this drop right here. Just click it. And then that black line will go away. So if I like my radio, I'm going to click OK, check, finish editing. And now I have one side of my kite with a radial pattern. Let's say I want to add another one on the other side. Maybe I want to pick a different shape. Maybe I want to put, let's put a pie for the mouth. So let's put a pie. So maybe I want my mouth to look like this. So I have it. I'm going to drag it down at the bottom. And I don't like this color. So I'm going to click Styles. And I can change the color. So maybe I want to do red. Maybe I want to do orange. Maybe I want to do yellow. But you don't always have to do a solid color. Up here, you have all these other options too. So on top, it says color, linear, radial, pattern. You can click linear, and then it comes up with all these different color patterns that you could choose. And this is something you can experiment with. And maybe you do a radial pattern. Maybe you want it to look like this. Ooh, cool. Maybe you want a pattern. So the computer program comes with all these different cool types of patterns you can use. So maybe you want it to look like this. And then when you're done, remember, click that check mark. Yes, I love it. And go over to your layers and make sure we lock it. Lock. We don't want it to move. Now, if you want it to move again, let's say you want it to move again, you go back to your layers and you can bring it back. You can unlock it, or lock it. So now I think my kite kind of looks blank in the back. So I'm going to try to add some color to the background of my kite. So you can do that by scrolling all the way down to something that says pixel fill, and it might say vector fill too. It looks like a paint bucket that's being poured over. So when you click on that, I want you to click, make sure it's on pixel fill. And then you can choose your colors. Maybe I want one side to be pink. And then when you click on it, that side will turn pink. Now maybe I want this other side to be a different color. So maybe I want it to be yellow. And maybe I want it to be green. And then I change that color and I click check. I'm done. And I can keep adding other things. So I want you to experiment with these other options. You can add animals, you can add creatures, you can add objects, you can add a car. Maybe you want to add a car on your kite, but we shouldn't add a car on our kite because we're making faces. So we're going to pick things that have faces on it. Check. Lock. Let me get rid of that car. So when you click that back button, you see these arrows here? That means you can go backwards and erase something if you don't want it there anymore. So now, let me do some more parts of my face. Let me do another circle. Let me change the pattern. Maybe I want it to be a regular color, like purple. Maybe I want it radial. And maybe I want to add a nose. Maybe I add a nose using the triangle tool. And maybe I want to change the color. Maybe I want this to be black or something. Let me go to color, black. And I have my kite done. And you're like, Miss Duff, I drew my kite digitally. I like how it looks. I want to send it to you. So what you can do now is you're going to go all the way down at the bottom. And then there's going to be something that says export. So this one says new. This one says open. This one says export. We're going to click that. And then we're going to go all the way down to the part that says share. And when you click that share button, you're going to click share. And then it's going to send you what your picture looks like. Now what I want you to do is I want you to send this picture to me. So you would do this. You would click copy, direct link, and then I want you to paste it into the Zoom chat. You could paste it into your Class Dojo, or you can paste it into Microsoft Teams. Okay, so those are some ways that you can get it to me. Or you can download it, save it on your computer, and I'll have a teacher help you figure out how to get it to me as well. So those are some ways that you can get your kite to me. But we're going to do it together in the Zoom room. Remember, you're going to draw your shape, add your colors and your figures, and then you're going to share it. You're going to export it and share it with me.